Hey, it's Bridget. Okay, so I just had this huge insight. So I'm sitting here, getting ready for the day, reading through some positive, inspirational things, some poetry I found that I've written. I listened to some great music and just trying to really feel the vibration and rhythm that I want to choose to connect with today as I step into my day. It's the beginning of a week when I'm recording this video, and there's just so much going on. I'm trying to choose the energy, right? So I was doing some tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique, and it was about allowing love. And if you have been through life, any kind of life experiences, you've experienced heartache, you've experienced being a person who has received hurt from other people, from their actions, from their behaviors, or you felt rejected or abandoned, maybe, right? Everybody's had that experience. Or maybe you've been the person that's inflicted that on somebody else. We've all, I think, had both. Okay, so there's a lot of energy around both of those things. So it creates sometimes this challenge around the concept of love, and it amplifies fear because there's this feeling of wanting to protect ourselves against any kind of pain. So in order to do that, the best way is to not be connected, or to be connected in a way where we are connected, we're going through the motions, so to speak, we're moving through life, we're on autopilot, which really means our energy and our spirit is disassociated. We are disconnected. I know disassociation is actually a psychological term. We are literally disconnected from our energy, our essence, and our conscious. Like, in good conscience, I can't do this. That conscience that you have, remember that? It's like that feeling when you were growing up, when you shouldn't steal that candy bar, or you shouldn't eat your friend's treats instead. Like don't just take their stuff and then blame it on somebody else, or you feel when it's not right. You feel bad, and it's not because you're bad. The feeling that you have inside is your conscience. That's what we were raised that it was. But really what it is a mix of energy and emotion trying to keep you in your center of your essence, at your core. Being who you are requires being connected to the source of you that makes everything worthwhile. But when you're going on autopilot through life because you're afraid that you're going to be hurt or injured, or you need to protect yourself because you've had trauma, or bonding with people that has been toxic or not healthy, which everybody has had to different degrees, okay? Not everybody's had the same experiences. I'm not saying that we have the same stories. I'm not saying we have the same trauma. I'm not saying that. But everyone has experienced the fear of uncertainty around love. Like, what does that really mean? And instead, I think it becomes this just norm to just unplug. So you just show up as the people want you to, and respond to people the same way they're responding to you. So they project niceness to you, so you're nice back, and yet you're actually holding parts of yourself back because you want to put your best foot forward. And it could be in a business relationship. You're just trying to present the best, the shiniest, perfect parts of you. It could be in a new friendship, because you don't want to just dump all your stuff on that person yet. You need to build some trust, some rapport. That doesn't happen overnight. That happens over time. And there is definitely this unknown around love and an uncertainty about it, because it seems really mysterious, especially to the mind. And the mind's job is to protect us. So what came up for me today, then, when I was doing the allowing love energy tapping, was boundaries. Like, intuition in action is boundaries. That's what it is. Boundaries is an offense to keep people off your lawn. It's not that. Boundaries is multiple forms of loving yourself. They're pillars of values that you have that are in alignment with you and what you want. They're not like wishy-washy, penciled in values. They are your solid core ride or die vibes that you will so often bend or hide or tuck away when you're encountering a new experience or new relationship with other people, because you, again, want to present your best foot forward, you want to fit in, you want to belong. You want to feel recognition of acceptance from another person, so you only present the good. And I'm not suggesting you just be an open book when you come in contact with people, but I'm suggesting that ahead of time, you decide and figure out within your own self what your values are, instead of trying to find somebody else to give you values and in turn to give you value. Boundaries create a partnership with your intuition in action. Using thoughts in your mind, healthy boundaries are a safe structure to have relationships with everybody and anybody, from a casual acquaintance to a random stranger, to your boss, to your lover, to your children, everybody. Boundaries are partnership with intuition. Boundaries are intuition that are coming into action and formation using the mind, because boundaries are created with the thoughts and the mind. They are connected to the values you have, not the fears. Not fear-based. Boundaries are not about fear of getting hurt, fear of loss, fear of grief and pain, because you know this is just going to end up in pain and heartache anyway. So why do it? Or I'm just going to do it and get what I can while I can. That is a short-term, limited thinking. And it devalues you and the other people you're in relationship, whether that's your job you consider temporary, or a relationship you consider temporary, whatever that might be. That devalues you and that person. That is disrespect, is what that is. Let's just everyone pause for a moment and be honest with ourselves. And I know all of us have been in that space. We have. And because we are propelled and reacting out of fear of loss, fear of being hurt, fear of heartache, fear of being betrayed, we then react in ways that are really not in alignment with us and our personal value. And our personal value, which is what boundaries help to, they don't protect your value, they honor it. Use different words. Boundaries honor your value. Boundaries solidify your inherent worth, and they connect your spirit, your essence, your energy vibes, your heart-based meaning with your mind and the thought. They are aligned with the thought patterns that you create from a boundary base. Boundary is a grounded, centered structure. It's like a lotus that opens up on a lily pad, okay? And boundaries are fluid. They do shift and change as the relationship grows, as you grow. They are fluid. But they're not fluid because you're a chameleon. They're not fluid because you're so used to, as an empath, reading the energy of others and adapting and being what they need. That's false. That is a facade. That's fake. That is fake love. That is what is causing all of the problems and challenges in the world in the first place. Why would you perpetuate that horrible normative pattern of being what that person needs so that they will love you? That requires changing yourself. That requires stepping off your center, creating a new facade, overlaying you so that you are continually seen as desirable to that person, that organization, whatever that is. If it's an image, like, for example, when you have kids that are like teenagers and they start to care sometimes about what they're wearing, for example, like, you know what I'm saying? They switch. Like, there's a time when all of a sudden they decide, I just don't want to wear a regular hoodie. I want one with like a logo on it. It has to be this logo. Or I need socks that go up to my kneecaps. And last year it was like no-show socks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that. It's like trends, right, happen. And so as a parent, then sometimes you get projected on as, well, you're not cool, or wait, what are you wearing? What is the image you're projecting? And if you're not careful, you can fall into that. And I know because like I've lived through 3 children all the way through their teen years through high school. So I know I get that kind of pressure. I feel that projection. I understand that projection. But the same thing can happen in a love relationship. You can accept a projection that someone has on you based upon the needs of the role that you're fulfilling, or the role in your mind that you think you are for that person. Like you might be feeling like your role is as the savior, as a person who's a fixer, as a person who is not really all that interested maybe, and is kind of aloof or maybe kind of out of reach. And then there's a lot of effort coming at you, a lot of projection of effort, which effort is desire. Sometimes it feels like that desire and like a craving kind of. And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to feel wanted, especially as an empath? What do you want? You do want love. You want to be acknowledged. You want to feel like you belong. You want to feel like you're appreciated. You want to feel like you're beautiful and unique, and you want people to do nice things for you, like bring you flowers or send you cards or give you, send you sweet messages or whatever that looks like for you, whatever the connection language is for you. And that's understandable. But be clear on what is going on for you. Be clear on what you are projecting, because what's happening is definitely an opportunity to recognize the intuition and the essence, to trust what you're intuiting, and to recognize that you aren't just like, just so caught up in whatever energy is going on. Like, yes, I better create the image for my child so that they are accepted. So therefore I must wear the Under Armour sweatshirt. Do you know what I mean? Like simple things like that. It's so subtle that you fall into it if you don't notice. And other people are projecting that need for an image and for a sense of acknowledgement and recognition that they need onto you. So it's going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So what happens is each of us in relation, we are responsible for our individual boundaries, for our individual acknowledgement of our intuition into action through our mind and our thoughts and our values. And I'm not suggesting that you don't need recognition or you don't need to feel appreciated or you don't need people to be compassionate and do nice things for you. Though, of course, those things are wonderful when they are coming from a place of authenticity, of the truest. Don't expect anything back. It's not being done to get a result or an outcome. If somebody does something, if you are doing something in order to get a certain outcome or response, you are in effect manipulating energy. Ask yourself, what value is this outcome tied to for me? What value is this? What is really my motive for this? And non-action, not acting, and just kind of being in like a situation where you just don't respond, you just don't respond, you just don't respond. I'm thinking of friend groups for me. Like I've been in text groups with friends and they kind of know my style isn't to constantly text or respond anyway. There's kind of this understanding, but that's the term of the relationship because I have a boundary where I clearly state just because I don't respond doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean I'm not interested in what you're talking about. It means that's a lot of information coming at me and I will show up and love you when you need me. And also when we're trying to make plans, but I don't need to be in every detail of every conversation of everything. But that doesn't mean I don't care. That doesn't mean I'm not present. It's an overload for me. And so I just hold the space of love and they know that. My good friends know that. And so they respect and honor that. So that's a boundary for me. I don't feel like I have to respond to them so that they feel loved. I laid out the term where I love you no matter what. Like I'm here. Like if I don't talk to you for 3 weeks and you need me, you call me, I'm there kind of a thing, or a month or 2 months, whatever that is. And there's this clear understanding of that's a value for me. That's how I express my love. That's how I am in relationship with my friends. And so my boundary is I'm not going to adapt my conversation or skill style to feel like I need to always be available for everybody because that feels depleting to me. And when I am available, I want it to be qualitative. I want to really be focused and present for people. That matters to me. And so, plus I have a lot of people I'm communicating with all the time, right? So it comes to mind then around love, especially, is that, oh, and all kinds of love, all kinds, right? And it feels like boundaries is the action. Like that's the actionable thing. That's the action. That's how you know. That's how you know people. That's how you know. That's how you respect people, by what their boundaries are. And you know, when you push up against that and they come back at you, like total respect. I had this happen the other day with a friend of mine. We were messaging, and it was, I think she had like a big meeting to go to or something going on or whatever. And I was like just messaging from like the night before. I was responding to her, and she's like, "Oh, can't talk. I have a meeting, blah, blah, blah. I got to prepare for it." And I was like, "I got you. No problem." Kind of thing, like, "No problem. I got you." And literally, "I understand." And then she was like, so apologetic later, like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to." I'm like, "It's fine." I'm like, "Hey, I got you. I get it. I understand. I'm the same way. I understand. I'd like, be clear, be direct, set your priorities." And she did. She set a boundary, like, "I'm not available now." And she honored that. And so I said, "No, respect, girlfriend. I totally respect that." I'm like, yes, thank you for the clarity. Yes. I'm like, yes, respect. And then she was telling me later, "I didn't mean to sound like it." I'm like, "Hey," I said, "Oh, no, 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 respect. I respect boundaries. I respect that you know what your priorities are. I respect that." Like, super impressive. Very good. Values. I have to follow through on my commitments. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. So this boundary thing, your intuition boundaries is the way that your intuition comes into action and brings your brain in and your thought patterns. So your values are going to have to be in alignment with what you do. And let me share with you, non-action is reaction. It is. It is. Mm-hmm. It is action. Mm-hmm. And if you freeze, or if you feel like you don't have a lot of power in that situation, or if you're scared to lose the attention, then I think what needs to happen is you need to come into yourself and figure out what your values are. Who are you? Separate of relationships with other people. Just who are you? Not who are you when you're with this person, or who you are when you're at work, or who you are when you're at church, or who you are when you're with your lover, or who you are when you're with your spouse, or who you are, whatever that is, right? You don't need to be different people. See, that's the problem. It's a challenge. That's why you feel never really fulfilled, never quite fulfilled, and kind of angry, like really misunderstood. And that's because you don't know, because you're adapting to meet other people's perceptions and images that are projected onto you. And that's normal. We do that all the time. I do that. I totally do that. I can totally do that too. But when you're in awareness and because it feels off, it just feels off inside you. It doesn't feel like quite a fit. It feels like a little deceptive. It feels like a little wrong. It feels like a little, you're suspicious of the person's motives, or you're suspicious of what they're trying to get from you, or it's not clear and it's confusing. That's because you are not in the center then. You're being pulled off of what really matters to you. You're being pulled away from what your true core values are that establish your beautiful boundaries. And boundaries aren't offensive to people who have them. Boundaries do not offend people unless they don't want you to have them, unless it disrupts them getting what they need or want from you. Then they'll be upset about your boundaries. And if you decide all of a sudden to change course and create boundaries in a relationship, it takes someone that really wants to be in a relationship with you to accept and receive the boundaries. And they might actually cheer you on and be like, "Hell yeah, I have boundaries. That's beautiful." Total respect. But if they're like, "Wait, why?" And they're upset about it, that's because they're not going to use you to get their needs met anymore if you have boundaries, which means, is that really love, or are you just being used? It means whatever it means to you. So I don't think people are, let me be clear, we're all empathic. I don't think people are walking around intentionally hurting people or using people to get their needs met, but I think it happens all the time. And the excuse that's given is that it's like we don't have a choice. It's like it just kind of happens or unfolds around us. And the truth is that means there needs to be boundaries within you, a connection from your values and your intuition to your thoughts and your mind. The actionable thing with your intuition is your boundaries. And if somebody has a problem with it, that means they have a problem with you, inherently with you and who you are. Woo! Okay. So boundaries are beautiful. That's the message. I'm going to watch this for myself because I need to hear it, I think. So this is Bridget. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. I hope I've inspired your spirit, filled you with some hope, given you some things to think about today. And encouraged you to live your life. It's your life after all, and you get to live it. Just live it. Thanks for being here.